Well, it's day 17, which I believe is Sunday. It's getting increasingly difficult to remember which day of the walk it is, let alone which day of the week it is. It's another hot day, but I'm quite happy that for the last hour I've been able to walk down the canal, which is nice, and even better by the fact they handily put the towpath on the side that sporadically has shade on it. Oh, you'd think I've scripted that. Big thanks to Trevor and Cher for not so much for letting me camp in their garden last night, but for doing some washing for me, which is very much appreciated. I was down to my last clean shirt, and quite frankly, in this weather, I'd much rather be wearing one of the red ones than the black one, which is the one that I had left. It's odd as well, because first time I was walking down a canal, I was talking about the newspapers reporting on the serious fraud investigation, and there's more on that in today's papers. I'll get back to that, but the other story that's being covered is the idea that electricity prices might have to go up to pay for the infrastructure that is needed for HS2, which is something I touched on day 2, because no one has really thought not only about the generation of what will equate to 1% of the current output of National Grid to power HS2, but the infrastructure as to how that electricity physically gets to the line. And this is just one in a number of off-the-book costs and disbenefits that have been, in my opinion, deliberately kept from the public. Like when they talk about these ridiculous jobs figures, these are all dependent on local growth strategies, which all require billions more pounds to be poured into them. And of course, there's my old favourite, the £11 billion worth of cuts to existing services that would happen after HS2 comes into operation. And all these things, they keep hiding from you. But I'm pretty sure there are more nasties like that they've just kept off the books, because obviously they all hurt the case for the project. The big story in today's papers is in the Mail on Sunday, who are reporting on an expansion of the Serious Fraud Office investigation into HS2, because we were hammering at this for a very long while to suggest that, well, not suggest, because we're absolutely convinced that what HS2 Limited have been doing by seizing businesses and farms without paying for them and getting property owners to say, oh, well, your house is worth this much, and then undercutting the offer when they have no choice but to sell to HS2 Limited, is fraud. But also, it's very obvious that the way that HS2 Limited operate, with a revolving door between HS2 Limited staff and contractors, with them swapping jobs all the time, and of course contractors getting embedded into HS2 on secondment, that it's just so open to fraud, especially in an organisation that has just thrown away any scrutiny. That every time there has been scrutiny of the project, it's like Teflon. Nothing has stuck to it, and it has meant that this culture has been inbred within the organisation, that they can simply get away with anything. And I think it's almost unbelievable to assume that there hasn't been some sort of corruption in terms of the delivery of some of the contracts. And the idea now, they're saying, with the costs, because they're now looking at, say, the official cost at 86 to 88 billion now, and that this has been known for years, and we know this has been known for years. As I've said several times, people knew about this. Several people knew, and they're saying, "Oh, ministers might have, unknowingly misled Parliament." Yeah, unknowingly. There's definitely more of this to come out, and this is one of the reasons that we wanted to hammer hard on the fraud angle, because there are so many people in HS2 Limited who have come out of the high staff turnover that they've had, and why have there not been more whistleblowers? They have to be coming forward, and I think they're starting to. That's it, girl. See, every opportunity there's been to get her in the water and get her something to drink, we've taken it so far. Oh, you can lie down? Oh, I'm thinking about it, Dad. No, that it? Yo, do you want to stay there all day or something? I don't blame you. I decided that it was time to get a new hat, and the landlord at the Greyhound in Colton kindly obliged. I don't know about you, but I find it exceptionally practical. Oh dear. It is the end of day 17, and I'm sure I said earlier, thank you to Trevor. Shut up, it's only a cat. Shut up. Yeah, I probably did say shut up at some point, not just to you. I probably said thank you earlier in the video to Trevor and Cher for, it wasn't the tent in the garden, it was doing the washing, which was such a big deal, especially when you consider this shirt now, shut it, has had to dry out 3 times in the course of the day from the sweat in my back. It is currently working on the 4th go. But there's no sun this time, so it's taken a bit longer. I've had the rocks of 3/4 an hour, but it's still not dry. The day's gone pretty well, apart from the heat. A lot of stops, a lot of resting. I somehow went wrong coming out of Colton and Mist Hill Ridware and came out at Maidstone Ridware, and then there was a footpath that was shut. So yeah, swings and roundabouts. I should maybe have just stuck to the canal, because I'm back on the canal now, but of course that would have been massively cheating. And that is the Crown, and we are at Armitage with Handsacre. And for those of you who know anything about HS2, you'll know that Handsacre, so first thing tomorrow morning, I will reach phase 1. So, and just after that, because obviously phase 1, yeah, I'll explain in the morning. Just after that, I will complete walking phase 2. I'll be the first person to walk phase 2 of HS2. Yay! So that's to look forward to in the morning. There was one thing that I should, well, probably several things, but one thing stuck in my mind that I should have mentioned back when I was at Ingistry, at the start of the day. Besides the fact that David Cameron used to live there, and obviously if he had won the Stafford seat in 1997, I doubt HS2 would be going past the house that he lived in at the time. But there were a couple of salt marshes near Ingistry, and the thing is, Ingistry, you know, I've forgotten how to say it, to be honest. But anyway, there's a couple of salt marshes there, and HS2 have been very, very conspicuous and deliberately missed the salt marshes. Yay, well done HS2. One problem, it has been certifiably identified to them that while they are missing the big 2 salt marshes, what they are actually going through is the source of those salt marshes. And every single piece of evidence that's been presented to them about that fact, they've just ignored. You know, it's like saying, well, there's a lovely lake there, we're not going to touch it, but what we are going to do is we're going to pollute the river that feeds it. Nice one. And that's something that's got, you know, heavy protection to it, but they just don't want to know. Don't want to know, because it's not been demonstrated before that that is the source to the salt marshes, because no one's done the work, and now someone's done the work. Don't want to know. Which is, you know, pretty typical, pretty par for the course. And tomorrow I'm going to complete phase 2. I'll be back on phase 1. And when I'm on phase 1, I'll start seeing some of the destruction that HS2 have actually been doing. And potentially, even though we've got this review, even though HS2 hasn't got notice to proceed, will potentially still be carrying on.